I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, February the 4th, where we're looking at Thursday of last week, and on your fat cattle board had a kind of a volatile session there and a pivotal move right there where the market opened and spiked up sharply higher there, and then when everybody was just about to get excited about that, the rug jerked out, and then it went sharply back lower and lost everything that it had gained and that much more. A lot of people in New Orleans there at NCBA that were involved in the markets and things that I was visiting with, thinking that was a one that we're going to have to keep an eye on, that we may not get back up that high again, and there's good reason for that. But at the same time, all this mud, all this bitter cold that's been going around, it has sapped the weights on these cattle. It's sapped the performance out of these cattle. It's going to be showing up here down the line whenever those cattle have been on feed long enough to think that they may be ready to go on the show list. And at about that same time, we're going to start seeing some spring demand as these packers are going to ramp things up and try to fill their coffers up for grilling demand. So we'll see how those two meet up, but interesting thing to look at. February live cattle futures ended the week at 125.45, which was down 60 cents for the week. April ended at 126.27, down 58 cents. After April, you look down and there's not a boarded or a traded contract on the board that's above 120. In fact, it's next February 2020, just over 118. So that's looking pretty depressed. January feeder cattle ended the week at 141.86, down $1.51 for the week. March ended down 110 at 142.52. Your fat cattle trade happened late on the afternoon on Friday, like always. At 124 was the established market. A few deals 125 and even one at 126, but not enough to establish, and we can't seem to attain that 125, but 124 is awful close, and it's a buck better than we had the previous week. Your dress sales, same way, $1 higher, 198 mostly, but also some 199 scattered in there, so that was a buck higher and not too awful bad. Box beef cutout values, the average trade for last week on choice cuts, 216.65, down 6 cents from the average of the choice cuts the previous week. Selects up 88 cents at 212.64, but your dress market was lower late in the week. So what I gave you was the average trades for last week, but your late in the week it was lower than it was all week, and so we're coming in on kind of a low point. Choice select spread about $4 and a good movement of 580 loads last week. Your slaughter, pretty good for as cold as it was up there in the Midwest, and in some places that got that bitter, 30, 40 to below zero, and it's hard to keep things going then. It's hard to get your employees to work and things like that. But 567,000, that was 17,000 less than the previous week, 19,000 less than the same week the year before. Cattle on feed reports are going to come out. January 1st inventories are going to come out February the 22nd, and then February 1st reports are going to come out March 8th. After that, they should be back on schedule. But real-time index on Cattle Market Central ended the week at 141.49, $1 lower than the end of the previous week. Compare that to the CME index that ended the week and closed off your January board at 141.86, running pretty tight in there. I wouldn't expect a big advance in your Monday feeder cattle auctions because they were higher a week ago, if you remember that, and then things just kind of turned off steady right there. Even though it wasn't a lot of movement and lighter receipts, guys weren't in a big rush to get cattle anyway with the way that the weather was, but should expect mostly steady markets, but they could be better, but mostly steady is what I'd expect from your big Monday sales. Last week they ended mostly steady after being higher early in the week, but then like I was talking about, a lot of your northern sales were canceled due to the weather, and that's what brought your index levels down about $1 for the week. But look at some individual quotes. South Coffeyville, Oklahoma had 73 head of mixed steer calves, weighed 574 to $180. Creston, Iowa, 56 head of 648-pound steers bring $167.75. And then on Saturday afternoon, early in the afternoon, they had a big run at Fort Scott, Kansas, and a lot of buyers on the seats, and the right ones. Over 4,000 head on offer. 92 head of 803-pound steers in Fort Scott bring $148.75. That's your feeder flash for Monday.